What if I told you that managing money better than 95% of people is actually very easy? In my job managing multi-million-dollar budgets, I learned that it's not about how much you make, it's about how you manage it. Because even making $1 million means nothing if you don't know how to deal with it. In this video, I will show you exactly how to get ahead of 95% of people when it comes to money. Step 1. Know the basics. Most of the people think that they have total control over their money. But ask them one simple thing. How much do you spend a month? Matter of fact, 11 million Americans don't monitor their overall spendings. And 77 million people gave themselves a C, D, F grade when it comes to personal finance. Then most of them feel left behind although they have a decent income. But how do you go from feeling financially lost to being confident again with your finances? First of all, you've got to know your monthly expenses. I have two ways. The first one is for the lazy ones. I don't recommend it, but still I'm going to share it with you. First, log into your bank account and then take the last 3 months of spendings. Add up the total amount spent and divide it by 3. That's your average monthly spending. And it's basically a simple baseline to start working from. As said, this was for the lazy ones, but I recommend to divide the cost into fixed, varied, periodic and unexpected. So go back to your bank account and take the last 3 months. Start to sum up all fixed expenses. These are the ones which have usually the same amount every month. Some examples are like car payments, mortgage loans, gym subscriptions or your rent. Next, calculate your varied expenses, which can change from month to month. These type of expenses you have more control over. For example, like food and utilities. Third, we have periodic expenses. Although these type of expenses aren't on a monthly basis, it's still important to figure them out. For example, like car insurances or personal income tax. And last, we have unexpected expenses. Most likely you feel like that these type of expenses are blowing up your bank account, right? This is quite a normal thought because at the moment you don't know what's hurting your financials. But we'll get there. Most financial advisors recommend to save at least 10 to 15% of your monthly income. But my recommendation is to start first building up a savings habit before you dive into the numbers. This brings us to step 2. Have a realistic evaluation of your financials. If you find yourself stressing too much about money although you have a decent income, or if you spend like you've got it although you are broke, then you could probably face money dysmorphia. It's a quite new term for people struggling to understand their current financial situation. By understanding your spending habits in step 1, you made good progress. And now it's important to look at your income. If your income is bigger than your total number of expenses, and if you can still save around 10 to 15% of your monthly income, then you're already in a very good position. You shouldn't even stress out in this situation about your financials and your money. Just follow a simple plan towards building wealth. If you want to know how to build slow but steady wealth, watch this video over here. But if your income is equal to your expenses, then you'll need to optimize a few things. But still, probably you're good to go. But if your income is lower than your expenses, then you'll need a reality check. And you have to build your way out of this. Don't hate me as a messenger, I'll just speak the truth. Without making the situation much more complex, because I don't want to overwhelm you at the moment, you have to just look at your housing and transportation costs. Because these are usually the biggest expenditures to take into consideration. The H+T index offers a very unique insight towards affordability. It's an index that combines housing and transportation, and it sets the benchmark of no more than 45% of your household income. And if you find yourself paying more than 45% on housing and transportation, then okay. Then the question becomes, what should I do? Where should I cut expenses? I will give you now some quick wins on how to cut expenses in these two categories. First, negotiate overpriced contracts. I did that myself 2 months ago and my gym subscription fee was reduced to $20 a month. Next thing is, and this may be hard for you, but sell a car you can't afford. Believe me, over the past few years I paid off my car loan. I was barely making the monthly payment. And unfortunately, this almost left me no money to save and invest. So I couldn't grow my financials on a stable basis over the years. I paid $500 a month to the bank for a depreciating asset. If I would invested the same $500 for 40 years in an ETF, I would become a millionaire. But I can repeat only myself. You have to reduce your housing and transportation costs. Saving only 2% in one of these categories means much more than saving money in another category. Now that you've listed all of your expenses and evaluated realistically your financials, one other thing, knowledge doesn't build wealth. What you need are systems that take care of your financials in autopilot. That's our step 3, building systems. Automating financials made my life so much easier. For the system I'm going to show you, you need 3 bank accounts to start with. So one will be for your paycheck. This will act as a transmitter. The second account you will use for your checking. It's for your daily use and spending such as cash from ATM or shopping for groceries. The third account will be for your savings. But this account is not for investing, not for business. It's It's only to save money, because probably you need to build up your emergency fund. My income gets paid on every 29th of a month. At that exact date in the evening, the first automation kicks in. It pays automatically $1,000 in my emergency fund. It follows the pay yourself first rule. I paid every month $1,000 into my emergency fund. I did that until I saved up 6 months of expenses. Now I've reduced my monthly payments to $150 a month, because sometimes even the smallest amounts can make a huge difference down the line. And by keeping that savings habit up for the emergency fund, I still have my positive feeling about it. I know that some may say money gets devalued over time. I know that. We come to that later. So this was our first automation. The second automation kicks in on every 30th of a month. It transfers automatically the money to the checking account based on the calculation we did in step 1. I calculated that I spent $2,900 a month, and this money gets automatically transferred to my checking account. And an additional tip I can give for all the people that are serious about the method: call all of your service providers and ask them for a small favor. Could you please move my due dates of my bills, credit cards, and all my other payments to the first of every month? Believe me, it makes tracking so much easier. A small psychological win I've implemented here as well. My real spendings are $2,700 a month, not $2,900. So every time I spend $2,700 a month, I have $200 a month extra. These are for unforeseen expenses in my checking account. I let it pile up in the checking account for $200, and if I don't need it for a year, I have additionally saved $2,400. And that money I can recommend to invest in the stock market, because it's money you expected to lose. Don't ever touch your emergency fund for investments. After we talked about the accounts you need, we can start talking about systemizing investments. I'm probably the most boring investor when it comes to it. I follow the 70-30 ETF rule. 70% I put in an ETF like the MSCI World, and 30% I put in an ETF like the emerging markets. I don't buy any stocks, I don't do any daily investments, because it feels like gambling. Because no one foresees the market, and for people that are just starting out on their journey to financial education, I can recommend the book from Benjamin Graham. But the most important message I can leave you with is: time in the market is much more important than timing the market. And this graphic over here explains it best. Look at the upmost left. If a newborn starts investing the day it was born, it must only accumulate $1,777 for 65 years. After that, it would have invested $13,857, but would have gained $86,143 just from the interest in the payment, leaving him with $100,000 by just staying a long time in the market. Let's now look at the 60-year-old who wants to stay in the stock market for 5 years and make $100,000 also. To reach $100,000, he would need to pay $1,468 a month. After 5 years, he would have paid $88,190 and would have made only $11,881 in interest. So yes, both parties reach 100K. But let's be honest, investing $17.77 for 65 years means a total invest of capital of $13,857 compared to invest $1,448 for 5 years, which equals a capital invest of $88,119, both to reach the same level of $100,000. And that's why time in the market beats timing the market always. If you're interested in how to build wealth in a safe way, watch this video over here. Now that you've understood how to manage your money better than 95% of the people, it's on you to execute it. Would you like a free calculation tool on your expenses? Write a comment down below and I can do a step-by-step guide on how to work with it. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one. Bye.